Welcome everybody to this express review of the England versus India fourth test. Wow, what a dramatic way to end a test match. Fantastic by India in the end. They batted for 2 days to save this match. Shubman Gill was absolutely fantastic. Jadeja was fantastic. Washington picked up his debut 100. A lot to get by. We will do a more in-depth review with James Butler maybe. But while we're here, we will review this game. It was a batting paradise. It was pretty flat. Day 5 did become a little bit tricky with uneven bounce, but this was very good for batting. There was a lot of hundreds in this test match. Joe Root, he went past Ricky Ponting of all time at second on the list of test run in his career, only behind Sachin Tendulkar now. Ben Stokes made 100 in this test match. A lot of players made hundreds in this match. England batted first. They won the toss. India, for some reason, they've lost 14 tosses in a row. That's unbelievable. That's unheard of. And England did choose. They did choose to. They did win the toss. They did choose to bowl. Gorvy Cricket Podcast. He said, "Hello, Lucas. Hello, boss man. Always good having you on, boss man." England, they dominated probably 70% of this match. They should have probably won this test match. But India batted for 2 days. It was unbelievable. We'll talk about the pitch. I'll say the pitch was disgraceful. Jadeja, Stokes, Washington were made look so decorated and good due to the lifestyles dead wicket served. Yeah, that's a good question. We'll get onto that. Yeah, it was a very flat wicket. We know this was probably a traditional Bazball wicket where it's so flat even on day 5. Now, even though it was flat on day 5 today, there was still a lot of uneven bounce. There was a couple of balls where it stayed low. Jofra Archer, I think, got LBW, a ball that stayed low. Wokes was on a hat trick at one point. That was way back on day 4. And India were 2 out for none. So it just shows you how good Shubman Gill, don't forget KL, Jadeja and Washington were. They were absolutely brilliant. But there was a couple of uneven bounce. Yash says here, keep putting your questions so I'll answer them. Wish India test team going through a transition phase with no Rohits, no Virat. I'm satisfied with this performance from this Indian team tour. Look, this was a very brave win. This had, it was like Sydney against Australia in the BGT, where they're up against it. And incidentally, Jadeja again, he's done it in Brisbane. Did it in Sydney. He's now done it in Manchester. He saved the game for India. So he was absolutely fantastic, Jadeja. But Bumrah had a poor game. Wasn't quite at his best. He had a couple of ankle problems, I believe. I think he should play the 5th test. He needs to play the 5th test. He must play the 5th test. There's no point. There's do or die. India win the test match. They keep the trophy, the Anderson Tendulkar trophy. So he must play. We talk about all these good bowlers: McGrath, Courtney Walsh, Ambrose. Even fast bowlers like Brett Lee, Shobi Akhtar. They played all test matches. Brett Lee in Ashes series played all 5 test matches. Bumrah needs to play. There can't be any resting. I know there's a few days rest. There's a short turnaround between the next test. It's only a 4-day turnaround. Bumrah didn't bowl in the last 2 days though. He didn't bowl. England bowlers have. So Bumrah needs to play if India any chance. They need to win that test match. And knowing England, that pitch will even be more flatter. Will be more flatter than what it is now. In 2021, Sydney tester was Ashwin and Vihari. Sorry, not Jadeja. I think Jadeja did come out late in Sydney. Yash, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Vihari, that's an interesting name. We haven't heard from him in a long time. With Vihari. Good player. But it was a batting paradise for 4 out of the 5 days. In India, it looks like they were going to get rolled, but like I said, Jadeja, well, really start with the top with KL and what kind of thing is Gill? Shubman Gill, apologies to Shubman Gill. They batted extremely well. They deserved to save this test match. They deserved to draw this match. A little bit disappointed with England's behaviour at the end of the test match. I thought that was really appalling from Ben Stokes. And I understand Ben Stokes. They want to shake hands, but it is Jadeja's not at fault. There shouldn't be anyone blaming Jadeja. Jadeja has every right to say to Ben Stokes, "No, I want to continue batting. I'm near 100. I want to bat." He has every right to say that, and I think the English players they're almost a bit embarrassing. There was about 7 or 8 players around Jadeja, giving him a mouthful, giving him a spray. I thought that was completely unnecessary. There was a moment in the stump mic, Jamie Smith said, why are you talking in the middle? Get on with it. Well, it's the end of the over, mate. They have a right to talk in the middle of the pitch. So that was disappointing to hear. That was not on. And then when they shook hands, they were still giving Washington a serving. I thought that was disrespectful. This test match isn't really good advertising for test cricket. No competition between bat and ball. A casual fan will get bored to see this 600s, 500 scores for fun. Yeah, you may be right. You may be correct. But at the end of the test match, if you did watch the end of the test match, that was entertaining, very entertaining. I'm Australian. I am pleased when England lose the plot. It makes it puts a smile on my face, knowing that England are under a little bit of pressure. He also says here, Sahu, he says, Oz versus West Indies pitchers were sporting and all matches went to chasing totals at last. It was West Indies' poor batting that made them look so miserable and bad. Probably right again. West Indies probably should have won that first test. They dropped simple, easy catches. So I can agree with you on that one. But back to the England and India test. Before we go, like I said, I don't want to do too much. It was just a quick 10-minute review. Shubman Gill, just on Shubman Gill, has now gone past Steve Smith for most runs against England in a series. Steve Smith had that wonderful 219 Ashes where he scored over 700 runs. Shubman Gill has now eclipsed that with one test to go. And arguably, Shubman Gill's hit all of his hundreds in England in the series. This test probably his best one of the series to save a match under real tough conditions, especially with uneven bounce on day 5. So this probably was the best one of his probably career. Can't think of too many better than this. Jadeja, definitely the best of his career. He's second in England. And Washington, a debut 100, which was absolutely fantastic. We mentioned Joe Root went past Ricky Ponting. He went past Kumar Sangakkara. He's now second of all-time test runs in a career. Looks like he'll get past Sachin Tendulkar if Root wants to play till the Ashes in England, which is 2027. They've got an England series this year. If he wants to play till 2027, the pitches will be flat enough for Joe Root to do that. He'll do that probably in the next 20 to 30 test matches. England play 15 tests a year, so that's no problem. They always play 5 tests at home. So I'm very confident Joe Root will probably get that in the next 2 to 3 years. But England and India ended in a draw. This is the second time, only the second time there's been a draw under Bazball. So just makes it what India did really good. Ben Stokes probably did not handle himself great with the bowling. Did not rotate his bowlers quick enough, better enough. Should have used Brook, should have used Root more. In the end, Carson didn't even bowl after lunch on day 5. Didn't even bowl after lunch today. Rokes bowled hardly anything. Jofra Archer was bowling low 130s when he came for his spell after tea, so he was out of gas. I think they'll make 3 to 4 changes. They'll probably bring in Overton. Who else have they got? They've got Atkins. So they'll probably make changes. Ben Stokes looked injured himself. Interesting to see with India. You can't drop Bumrah. You can't rest him. All these good players that he's been linked to, they played 5 tests. They played every test. He needs to play. India don't have a test match until West Indies, I believe, which is in September. So there is a little bit of a break. So you just have to risk Bumrah, with all due respect to the West Indies. So I think if Bumrah does break down, with all due respect to West Indies, I don't think it's going to hurt India if Bumrah's not playing that series. And then if he is playing that series, you can rest him for the South African Test in India anyway. So I think the risk is worth the reward. They need to win the next Test match. But anyway, stay with us. I'm sure we got one more question. Stokes isn't from Sahu. Then we'll end the show. So Stokes isn't really that great captain as English people make him. When you're 300 lead and you put out your opposition 0 for 2 and Stewart went for the draw, it's embarrassing. Well, Stokes has a history of this, hasn't he, Sahu? You remember the first test in England against Australia where, he just said Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon pick easy singles. Last test, easy singles by who was the tail enders? Siraj, Bumrah, and Jadeja, easy singles. So maybe he needs to improve on that. In Australia, you need to captain well. You need to captain an 8 out of 10. That's the bare minimum if you want to win into Australia. So, and I don't think he's an 8 out of 10 captain. I think he's probably a 6 out of 10. But we'll see. Thank you for your question, Sahu. That's the end of the show. Thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you got any comments you want to answer below, I will answer them. Even though the show will end, I'll answer them in the comments. But thank you. Stay tuned for the James Butler and my show coming up tomorrow. Probably today or tomorrow. But we will do a review, so stay tuned with that. That'll be an in-depth hour review. We'll cover everything then. My name is Lucas. You can follow me on R32 Sky on Twitter. You can follow the Bossman Guravir on Twitter as well with the same name. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and goodbye.